Welcome, everybody, to episode 65 of the Paws Up podcast. This streak we have going where we're getting FIU athletes on the show during the summer has been super fun, and we're happy to continue it today with none other than FIU men's basketball's very own Jonathan Aybar, who is entering his senior season with the Panthers. How are you doing, Jonathan?
Doing good, man. Doing good.
So Aybar joins us from FIU as he and the team start to get ready for the fall semester as the Panthers look to run it back and get back to the Conference USA tournament and go even further beyond than what they did last season. But Aybar, I want to talk to you about what point in your life you began to play basketball competitively, and I know a big part of that could be because of your father, Ramon Aybar, who was a former FIU Panther. How much of an impact did he have in pushing you to pursue the sport of basketball, if at all?
Man, it was a major impact, obviously, man. So, my dad was never a one sport kind of guy. He grew up in a family that we always played all kinds of sports. So actually, since I'm Dominican, growing up, I played baseball a lot when I was very young. And then once I moved out of Miami and moved over to Orlando, I decided to try out basketball, see how it was for me, and I immediately fell in love. I just always watching videos about it, just trying to learn as much as I can. Calling my dad, asking him tips about it. He was showing me stuff, showing me games, showing me clips and videos of when he used to play as well. So as an impactful as he was a major impact in my decision, for sure.
Wait, what position did you play in baseball?
Oof. If I can remember, I was definitely an outfielder.
Okay.
I don't remember center or if I was right or left, but I know it was somewhere in the outfield. But I was young.
All right. Well, how are you at the plate? What was your batting average? Come on. How good were you? Could you hit one? Could you hit a ball that would go yard?
Ooh. I'm gonna say yes because I have confidence in myself.
There you go. Good answer. So we talked about this before the show, right? The FIU athletics website, every other website, says you're from Kissimmee, but the real ones know that you're a Miami kid through and through. Moved to Central Florida later on. Regardless, describe that basketball culture in this state from what you've seen, especially considering, like all of us, you were watching plenty of Heat basketball growing up during that LeBron James era. They were winning championships. Just talk a bit about the basketball culture that you've seen.
Honestly, it might be a little biased, but to me, the basketball culture in Florida is the best. Most competitive as well. Like, we got insane AAU teams from all over. We got insane high school programs from all over, even post-grad programs from all over the state that are just day in, day out competitive. Even where I came from, we had a league that we were competing against schools, IMG, Montverde, all types of private school programs or just academies like that. And you cannot say that Florida basketball is uncompetitive. You never know what you're gonna expect in a game. You never know what type of players you're gonna expect because it's just so diverse. And then obviously I've been a Miami Heat fan since I began watching the NBA. So it was a rough year for us, but we'll find a way to pick it up again. But for me, Florida basketball is the best basketball, that's for sure.
Honestly, Florida may be up there best athletics overall. I mean, it's extremely competitive. Amen. And when you look at recruiting overall, I mean, a lot of these 5-star, 4-star guys are from the state of Florida. So definitely up there. But John, let's talk a little bit about your time in high school. I believe you went to Point Christian High, I want to say, or Central Point Christian Academy. There we go. You played there for a couple of years. You won the championship in 2020. Just take us through your time in high school.
Oh, man, that was, I would say, the biggest change in my career, definitely affected my career the most in a positive way, of course. I met two of my greatest mentors that I have right now, which are my two head coaches, Richie Dalmau and Carlos. Man, those two those two guided me and kind of really paved my path into becoming a college basketball player. It was just, I mean, I was just a young kid that just kind of just practiced a lot, but never really was able to get the publicity I can get. Never was able to get the opportunity. So I just always was working on my game, and once I met those two and finally put my name into the school and into their program, then they just poured into me, believed in me, made sure I was working, surrounded me with guys that had the same mentality I had, that had the same goals as I had. So think about a brand new high school basketball program that just started this year,
Wow.
just in a really tough league that most of the teams there have been there for over 10 years, and we're literally the newest team there, um, with a team full of just Latin kids, mostly Puerto Rican kids that just came here because of the hurricane that passed on during that time. So it's just as we were just really the minority in everything. Any team we played against, we didn't really get the respect we deserved, even though we were a very good team. We were good players as well. So we stayed together for those 3 years. Everybody stayed together. Nobody left. Nobody gave in. We were always together, always working. We trusted our coaches a lot because they were with us there every single time, every step of the way, and the results were showing. In our second year, we started winning more games, putting our name more on the map. We had more players that were also getting our name out there. We had like a big time player at the time with us, Victor Rosa. He was our shooter from Puerto Rico. We had a point guard. They were all played together in the national team over there, and they kind of just brought me in. It's like it made me feel like I was one of their brothers as well. I was with them 24/7 as much as I can be. And so yeah, that second year we started gaining more publicity, winning more games, going into bigger tournaments, and just getting our name out there more. Started having more Division I coaches come into our practices, and it was turning into like a regular thing, seeing at least 2 or 3 Division I coaches at every single practice, no matter what time, no matter what day. And a lot of that goes into Carlos because he was I call him a businessman because he's so good at making connections and knowing, talking to people and getting people out there. So going into our senior year, we had a lot of hopes for that year because of just our past 3 years being playing together, and everybody just kind of growing, getting stronger, gaining more skills, honing more of their skills as well, and we were just gaining more respect. And we went into one of those tournaments. I can't remember the name, but it was a big time academy. Like you had Prolific that was in that tournament. That when Jalen Green was in there as well. We had a lot of big time academy schools going to that tournament, and we finished. I want to say it was top 5. Obviously, we wanted to be more, but we went way above what people expected from us. So that was incredible. And going into that last season tournament where we had to face basically our rivalry, which was you guys might not know, but in the Central Florida area, it's a big time academy called West Oaks that's had a lot of good talent come out of there. And so every year it was basically like a head-to-head battle against them. And I wouldn't say we won more; they won more. It was always a one-on-one situation. And versing them and playing against them for that championship game when they were ranked that year as well, and winning was incredible for us. It was like a dream come true. It really felt like I don't know. It really felt like our NBA championship for us at that time because of just everything we went through to get to that point. So those high school years for me and going to Central Point were definitely the most impactful times of basketball for me.
2020 was also a very impactful year for everybody, and
Yeah.
in athletics it was difficult for everyone. Everyone had to go through something, but in your case, you were a senior in high school. This was a big year for you in terms of just getting your name out there, getting more coaches to come and look at you, offer you. Just how difficult was the recruiting process for you in 2020?
I would say thankfully, the help of my coaches. we were able to already be in contact with a lot of Division One coaches that had offered me before that year came in, and so I was able to take my visits early that 2019 year before everything kind of closed down. So I took a couple visits, checked out FAU, I checked out UNF. Was supposed to check out Stetson. Was supposed to check out FIU, but just never lined up. So I was able to check out at least 2 schools before my decision was made. The process I would say it was new. It was fun for me because it was something I was dreaming about for a while, but um, I wouldn't say it was as rough as some other people have had it for sure.
Oi, Johnny.
Yeah, I was unmuting myself. But you talk a little about your time at UNF. Obviously, a key mainstay and off the bench. You were one of the first guys off the bench. You look at your numbers, and really impactful freshman year, all ace and all freshman team, and tons of appearances in an Osprey uniform. Talk a little about your time with North Florida, and those 3 years, and eventually making the decision to come to FIU this past season.
Yeah, those 3 years that I had over there at UNF were great. Definitely grew my game a lot. Under Coach Driscoll, he was one of the coaches that definitely honed my interior game a lot more. We worked a lot on our exterior, like 3-point shooting and my shooting ability, but he developed my ability to use my feet more and create more shots for myself in the paint. And those 3 years, as a player, I grew incredibly because we had a lot of seniors. We had a lot of vets in our team that were always willing to give you some type of advice to help you out, how to do this, how to do that, how to, have your head on straight when you're in college as well, because coming in as a freshman, you don't really know what to expect. And I had a lot of good mentors. I had a lot of good vets on my team that were just guiding us. We had a good young core. We had about 5 freshmen that signed that year with us. Still talk to all of those guys to this day. And we were always in the gym. That's one thing I do remember. Anytime we can find some time to just go shoot, even play ones, whatever it was, we were just always in there. So my time at UNF was incredible. And when that final decision came down to kind of move on from UNF and sign here, it was definitely no hate behind any decision that I made. It was a lot of conversations with my dad, with my high school coaches, and with Coach Driscoll himself. We just were talking and sitting for a couple days, and we're just thinking about what would be best for me. What am I looking for as a player? What do I want to gain out of this decision, and what is my goals after this? And I still do think I made the right decision because I prayed about it, talked to my parents about it. It took a lot of time, but I am very grateful for my time at UNF and the people that I met as well.
Well, to piggyback off of what you just said, just talk to us a bit more about that process of being recruited by FIU. Do you remember who originally reached out to you from the Panthers, and how did they convince you to join them, and how much influence did your dad, who played with FIU, have in persuading you this is going to be the right decision for you?
Yeah, I definitely remember it was Coach Joey Rodriguez. He came to me when I was in high school, and he offered me when I was in high school. But at the time, there was not much interest being shown. And I honestly do not think they knew my dad played for FIU those years back. So when I decided to put my name in the transfer portal coming out of UNF, they reached out to me immediately. And they were kind of just like, I'll never forget this, but it was the head coach, Coach JB. He was telling me, he was like, bro, I never knew you. If I would have known your dad came here, I would have been talking to you a lot more when you're coming out of high school, but I never really knew. And I kind of laugh about it because it's like, I don't really expect a lot of people to know about that. But the influence, I want to say it didn't affect much because whenever I asked my dad about it and I asked him, like, should I come here? Like, what do you think? He was like, I don't want you to make this decision based off of anything that I had with the school. I want you to make your own story, make your own life. You know, it's like, to me, it would be great to see you play my alma mater, but wherever you go, I'm going to support you. It doesn't matter for me. And when I kind of was cutting down on the decision of schools, it came down to FIU and Southern Miss. And I visited Southern Miss, I visited FIU, and I really enjoyed both schools. But I'm a Florida kid, you know, through and through, and just not being in Florida, not being close to family it impacts a lot of how I am as a person. And so when I kind of decided and told my dad I was going to decide to go with FIU, he was ecstatic. He was super happy. Family was happy, and it was a great time. I remember that. Yeah.
So, first time coming to FIU, touring the facilities, the coaching staff of the stadium, pretty much everything. How would you compare and contrast the general scope of basketball between UNF and FIU, including those things? Not to mention the atmosphere, game day, again, the coaching staff and whatnot.
Well, two big things that are different between the schools is that UNF does not have football, so their main sport was basketball.
Mm-hmm.
So think about people having tailgates for football, but instead for basketball as well, and that was like the main thing. So anytime a basketball game was going on, like it was multiple people going, stands were always full. We averaged at least 3,500 a game. And the biggest games were obviously when it was against our rival, which was JU when I was back at UNF. So those games used to get to like 4,500 people. And this gym was about the size of the FIU gym, and it would get super packed over there. But the difference that I've seen here is that just the campus is way, way bigger, way more students. Yeah. A lot newer, I would say as well. It was not like the UNF stuff was run down and old because it was new and very well kept as well. But everything here it's just something different. You coming from Jacksonville, Florida to Miami, Florida, it's two different cities. Even though it's in Florida, it's completely two different cities. And the atmosphere I felt here in basketball it's not the same. But I know that once you start winning games, it can get insane here. I mean, we experienced that in a couple games that we had this year. That those games got packed and it gets super loud, and that you can't even hear when you're trying to talk to a teammate or anything like that. But I would say both are very exciting to play in. Obviously, we're not the main sport here because of football, but we still do get a great showing. We still have a great support system, and it's just exciting to play in both, honestly.
No, I think that's you attest to it. I think of the the UTEP game, Mexico State game, or even we played against Western Kentucky in that big senior day game. All those really have atmospheres, and it kind of just shows, what FIU can be when we're playing, competitive basketball.
Exactly.
And looking back, you talked about your father who played at FIU in the 90s, played with Raja Bell, Carlos Arroyo, who are two FIU basketball legends. They're plastered all over, the entrance to the locker room. Talk about that, being able to become you're the first ever second generation FIU basketball player. Talk about being able to be part of that. And what did you learn from your dad and hearing his stories of playing at FIU, and obviously how the campus has changed dramatically from what it is from the 90s till now?
Yeah. What's crazy is like me and my dad, we talk a lot about sports, talk a lot about basketball. But we don't talk that much about his days over here in FIU. He definitely enjoyed it. He loved playing basketball, where he met my mom as well. And he loved his time here in FIU, but he doesn't really talk that much about it unless I really ask him. I just remember one day when we had our Cayman Island tournament last season, and we went and played against Akron. I just remember calling him and telling him, we're playing Akron today. And I remember they told me that he had like 20-something points against him, that he had like a double-double last time he played Akron when he was playing for FIU, and I was like, well, let's see if I can beat your record today. And obviously, I did not. It was not a good game for me, but when he does tell me things about his time here in FIU, he definitely, you can see that it was a part of him that he'll never forget. Like playing under Shaky, which was a rough relationship with him and my dad, but he met a lot of great people here. I've met a lot of his teammates that have came to our practices, and it's great knowing that a lot of his teammates and a lot of the alma mater here know that I have a dad that played here, and a lot of them have a lot of respect for him, and that's great to know because that's my dad. To me, I look at him as like my superhero as well. So it's great to know that I'm playing where my dad also played, so playing on the same court, being in the same locker room. Maybe it's great to know.
So, looking at your last season, obviously you missed a lot of time with injury, but still played in 13 games, made an impact. How would you say your season went? Obviously, not the results you guys wanted in terms of record, but still really good performance in the Conference USA tournament. 11, and despite the record, still won the game against Jacksonville State. And for the most part, you guys kept it close with Sam Houston all the way up to, I believe, end of the second period, somewhere around there. Just how would you say your season went?
I would say disappointing because we definitely underachieved. We had a very talented squad last year. That I think that if everybody's heads was on right and everybody was clicking the right way, we definitely could have went a lot farther and won a lot more games than we could have. I mean, the game I'll never forget was, when we played Miami, we were up 15 at half, 15-12, I think it was at half, at their court, and it's not like we lost by, I think it was by 4. So that game right there, just after leaving that game, that was probably the game that I left that I was like, man, this just goes to show that we can compete with anybody. It doesn't matter what level they are, what league it's in, what conference, it doesn't matter. It's just if that night we decide to play basketball, competitive basketball as a team, we can play and beat anybody. So when we come out in games and lose against teams like teams that I'm not saying that they're a bad team, but I feel like it was a team that we should have not won. That should have not lost that game because we were already winning. Was like Stetson. A lot of games that we were up at half and then lost at the end because of just like lack of focus, And so to me, it was disappointing that's how our season ended. It was great to see the boys just push on for that first game against Jacksonville State, losing against them twice in conference. So it was great to see them push against that, knowing that we were giving it everything we had, man. We were tired, down a lot of play. We were down about three players, and just seeing them fight for that one game and then fight again for Sam Houston and give it all you can. It was great seeing it. But the way we're already coming in for this season, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be a good season to remember for sure.
Talk to us about what exactly was your injury and when did it start to happen? I know you were out for a bit, then you came back, and then you were out again, and then obviously we found out you'd be out for the rest of the season. But just kind of take us through that injury and how much that impacted you.
Well, so I kind of I suffer a lot from my right knee. It kind of just swells up of when I'm playing a lot from overuse. So during the beginning of the season, there was a couple games I had to miss because it was so swollen. I really couldn't even walk. It would hurt to move. It would hurt to do anything on that knee. So the thing that we decided to do is we would have to rest for games that were, I'm not going to say that were not as important, but just games that I would not be as needed as others. So I would rest games and I would rest practices because just to what is it called? Load management, I would say, yes. So that was what was going on at first. And then we kind of started finding a way to get control over that knee. We had to kind of get it drained and just keeping it, just stretching, a lot of ice, a lot of treatment, basically. I was in the training room at least 2 hours a day. But then because of my knee being so bad, I was overcompensating with my left foot. and my left ankle, it started getting bone spurs, which is like when pieces of bone fall out and they're kind of stuck in like the soft tissue, and so you feel that and it starts scraping at it, and so that's what was going on when I had to miss a couple more games because of that. Um, so we decided to go get an MRI. The MRI just showed us the bone spurs and then showed us it just kind of showed us that I had something going on, but it wasn't clear what it was in my ankle. So I remember this day it was just we just played our first conference game against Jacksonville State. We come back and we practice the next day. We're doing our drills, nothing crazy, and I'm playing defense against one of my teammates, and I stepped wrong, and my ankle gave out right there. It was excruciating. Can't even explain the feeling. We immediately went to the hospital, got an MRI, got it checked, and then found out that I had the bone spurs. Apparently I had an insane fracture, but they thought that I've had that fracture in there for way before than that happened, before that situation. So I think that situation was kind of just everything just blowing up at once. It was just kind of my body just saying like that's enough, like you need to rest. Yeah. And it was a fracture, and so I had to go get a surgery, 8 screws and a plate and a tightrope going through my left ankle. So
Jesus,
out for 6 months, just basically doing therapy day in, day out, just trying to see how fast I could get back.
Mary, you muted.
Second time.
And for you, obviously, you're working right back from this injury. But looking, as we get, looking past last year, a lot of cool, exciting games in the non-conference. You talked about the Miami, which you were in. Kennesaw State was a very, very good fight. Even the game against Maine, LIU, which Coach Ballard set the most wins in Division I record at FIU. Talk about what was your most exciting game you played this year. This season at FIU.
Oh man, my most exciting game that I played in, but I would say the most exciting game for me was definitely when we played Miami. Even though we lost, that game that was the best team game we had that last season. It was incredible watching that game and participating in that. But the best game I'll say I played in that we played in it was definitely Kennesaw or Florida Gulf Coast. Those 2 games were super competitive. I feel like I played and performed well in those 2 games. So out of those 2, it was both like incredible games, fun games to play in, and just see how the guys were doing too.
And then one game in particular, obviously, you watch on the sidelines. Was the game on the bench, or once the game against Jacksonville State? You kind of talked about it, how you guys put all your energy in that one, a big victory in the first round in Huntsville, Alabama, and obviously unable to win against Sam Houston. But just talk about how being able to be a part of that environment, seeing how a game like that, where it's you have to survive in advance, and how you guys want to keep momentum and really show that you're capable of being big in a tournament heading into next year.
It kind of put us and the younger guys in the group in perspective as in why seeding is so important during season, because the higher seed you are, the less games you have to play in tournament. Since we were in the lower seed, we had to fight every single game to get closer to that championship game. And the higher the seed you are, you're able to skip games, you're able to have day offs in between. We didn't have any day offs. We had a game at 5 and then another game early in the afternoon. So it was like really minimal rest and trying to fit in as much as you can in those couple hours in between games. So that game kind of just put me into perspective and the guys of how important seeding is and how important it is to take care of your body during those last few weeks of conference and of tournament, because it's very taxing. So yeah.
Alrighty then, Kevin. Is it time for a news break?
Got a news break in, yep.
Alrighty then. Let's head on over to my news break where we look at all things FIU athletics and just FIU in general. So let's kick things off with FIU swimming and diving. As two FIU Panthers have secured spots in the upcoming Olympic Games here in Paris. The two athletes in question are Umi Diop, who will represent Senegal in the 100-meter butterfly event, and of course, Paws Up podcast legend Nicole Frank, who will be representing Uruguay in the 200-meter IM. This will also be Frank's second time in the Olympics after competing in the 2021 Games in Japan. The opening ceremony for the Olympics in Paris are scheduled for July 26th. Next up is FIU football, which will be taking part in Conference USA's Media Day on July 23rd at the home of the PGA of America in Frisco, Texas. This will be the first formal event under the league's 2024 10-team configuration, with the addition of Kennesaw State to the conference. The representatives for FIU will include head coach Mike McIntyre, running back Lexington Joseph, and linebacker Reggie Peterson. The time of FIU's Media Day is still yet to be determined during the Conference USA Media Day on that weekend. And finally, I know it's not technically FIU news, but I do want to give a special congratulations to the Florida Panthers, who have won the first Stanley Cup final in franchise history as they beat the Edmonton Oilers by a score of 2-1 in Game 7 last night. This was pre-recorded on Tuesday, just so you know. We've all been rooting for them here at the Paws Up podcast, as I know many of you have been watching from Dayton, Broward County. I've personally spent the last 2 years covering the Panthers for Lemon Say Live alongside Alex Krutchik. It's been a dream come true to see players like Barkov, Kachuk, and Bobrovsky finally hoist the cup. So once again, congratulations to the Florida Panthers. And that was a slightly biased news break. So let's get back talking with the Aybar again. We appreciate spending some time with us. Kevin, take it away. You're muted, Kevin.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're good.
All right. Thank God this is good. So you've been preparing for the season. Obviously, you mentioned therapy and all of that, but kind of take us through what the team's done, just kind of prepare for the upcoming season.
One step we're taking closer now that I didn't see as much last year was we're trying to get big, man. We're in the gym pushing every single day in that weight room now that we have Teo. We've been eating a lot, so everybody's basically been gaining pounds, gaining weight, and then pushing heavy weight in the weight room from the guards all the way down to the forwards and the centers. You know, it's that's one thing I see that we're doing a lot more than we did last year. Like, guys are coming in a lot more sore into practice from our workouts. Guys are, just yes. Sometimes it sounds like complaining, but it's at the end of the day we all know it's better for it and it's good for us. And you can see it when we're competing in practice. You can see people hitting harder than normally, jumping higher than normally. It's that's probably the one step that I would say that we're taking towards it.
What's been the message that Coach JB has given you guys throughout the offseason, after making the Conference USA tournament, his expectations for you guys in the upcoming season?
He just wants us to be competitive, man. One thing about competitiveness for him, as at least how he wants us, is that it's not just like when you choose, you got to be competitive all the time. Competitive in the weight room, competitive in class, competitive in our practices, because at the end of the day, that's the only way you're gonna make each other better. Because iron sharpens iron. So if you're competing against your brother in practice, imagine when you guys are finally playing against somebody else. So like his main message has been just be competitive, just stop, don't give up, just keep being competitive.
So unfortunately, there have been a lot of players who have left this team via either the transfer portal or graduation, but there have been a lot of new additions to the team as well, especially from the JUCO level. I just want to ask you, how many of them have you already met personally, and which ones are you super excited to see what they can bring to the squad?
Oh, I met all of them already. do a good job of introducing ourselves and not making anybody feel, you know, out of out of the group, out of like an outlier. So we've met all of them. I'm super excited for one of the young guys and one of the transfers from the JUCO. His name is Vianney, one of our new bigs, and then one of our young guys named Cole. I'm super excited to see those two when we get into conference, because just seeing them competing day in, day out in our practices in our weight room, you see how focused they are. I'm not saying like they're the only ones, because all of our other new guys are super, super locked in, always competing as well. But those two in particular, I see them all the time, and I'm always talking to them, just kind of picking at their brain to see like what they're thinking, and super excited to see how they're gonna perform. Especially my guy Vianney, really excited to see him perform as well.
And you discussed a little about the newcomers, but obviously we still have a lot of returners coming back to this program, including yourself. Talk about some of the guys that we should be looking forward to heading into next year, and guys that are returning and expected to bring big production to the program.
Guys that you should be looking forward to see, I would say is my guy Jaden Brewer, Travis, that was redshirting last year, Deshaun, and my guy George Pridgett. Those guys been working, man, especially this off season. A lot of us stayed, during this break. A lot of us didn't go home, just decided to stay and just work, kind of just maximize as much of our time as we can here. Been working out, lifting, just maximize our time. And so seeing how focused those guys been, it's just exciting to see what's going to happen next year, and how locked in they're going to be. So those are guys I would say is to look out for.
Alrighty then. Let's start to close up the show here with some fun rapid fire questions, like we always love to ask everybody on the show. Kevin, I think you have the first one, so take it away.
Yeah, you guys definitely have some characters on this team, but who would you say is the funniest guy on the team?
The funniest guy on this team, I'd probably say is George Pridgett. Gino, call him. He's a goofball. Call him little bro. If you guys ever seen him, call him little bro.
All right, noted. Where would you say is the go-to spot to grab food on campus?
Go-to spot. Trop is probably the most convenient because it's the closest to the dorms. So I'll say Trop or go to Breezeway. Those two spots are for sure. But there's some more good spots on campus. A little more of a walk, but there's some good spots on campus.
And we know you guys have a lot of music taste, so who on the team is getting the aux cord? Who's not getting the aux cord during practice?
Oh man, kind of exposed me, man. I don't know. Oh, okay. Who can get aux cord? I'd say George. He can get aux cord because he's diverse. Everybody's cool when he gets the aux cord. Who can't? I don't know, man. I haven't thought about that one.
Everyone has pretty good music taste.
Let's just say that everybody has pretty good music taste. If anybody were to get the aux, it would probably be George or Onyx. Those two guys.
What's your playlist looking like?
Man, a lot of Spanish, a lot of R&B, rap, Afrobeat. That's kind of my main things right there.
Obviously, the NBA Finals just wrapped up. Who are you rooting for?
Come on, man. A Heat fan through and through.
There you go.
I'm sick to my stomach that Boston even won, but
I agree.
The Panthers, they did that one for us. That's good.
Yeah.
So obviously, one being talked about, where you're from. You're Dominican, which obviously you represent on Instagram and obviously on all the social medias. So for you, obviously, you've been in Miami for a bit. Where's the best place to get authentic Dominican food?
Wow. I mean, there's a place that's been here since my parents lived here. It's called El Típico. It's like maybe 20-25 minute drive from here. But a place that I really like to go to a lot is it's like a It's a chimney truck that's near Winwood. And man, their food is great. A little pricey, but it is good. Very close to like the food that you'll get over there in DR. Pretty similar, almost the same. So those are two spots that I would say to get good, authentic Dominican food.
And obviously, you have a lot of uniforms for FIU men's basketball. I was just wondering, what would you say is your favorite uniform for the Panthers?
I would say is the black one. The black was my favorite one, black and white for sure. That's the cleanest look one.
And we ask this to every single player we have on. Who do you think is the next men's basketball player that we should get on the podcast?
Oh, that's a good one. Man. Yeah, I think you guys gotta get my guy George on it, man. You guys will love him. He's a funny guy. You guys will love him.
All right.
All righty. So again, once again, Jonathan Aybar, thanks so much for spending some time with us. We'll finish it up here, asking you if you have anything you'd like to say to the fans, to FIU, to anyone. The floor is now yours.
No, man. Just hoping to see you guys at the games this year. We got a lot of goals that we want to complete, and it's always better to complete the goals when we have our fans watching and supporting us there and just getting loud on the courts for us. So just hope to see you guys in the corner. And if you guys see me somewhere on campus, man, don't be shy to say hi or say something, man. Cool guys. So just say what's up, man. So yeah, that's it.
Alrighty, Jonathan Aybar, thank you so much for spending some time with us. Best of luck to you as well as the FIU men's basketball this upcoming season. And like you said, to make all the Panthers fans proud. So thank you, everybody who's been supporting us as of late. It's been fun recording these episodes with the players. Episode 66 will be around the corner. We'll hopefully have another awesome guest. Can't share any information right now, but until then, go celebrate the Panthers winning the cup. Go FIU Panthers. And as always, paws up.
Paws up.
Yes, sir.